Hi, welcome back everybody to another episode of Garage Studio Modelers. I'm Dave Forrest and I'm here with Harvey Lowe and special returning guest Sandy McCrory.
Thank you.
And the last video we did on colors was the Panzer Gray, the 50 Shades of Panzer Gray that we did, and we had a great feedback and response from all the viewers. So we figured, hey, let's continue the series, and we brought Sandy back because Sandy's our kind of resident expert on all things color. And today we're going to look at doing British colors, and we're going to break this up into two because it's a pretty broad
it's a large
topic.
subject.
And today's episode we're going to focus on British colors from 1916 when they first started introducing armored vehicles in World War I up until 1942 in World War II. So I'll hand it over to Sandy. And Sandy
oh, just a correction, Dave. It's called British.
British. Okay. British. British. All things British.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Harvey. British colours. Well, as Dave mentioned, I think we'll split it into two because it's quite a large subject. What I'm going to talk about first of all is reference material. Now, if you're interested in British colours, the person who is probably the expert is a guy called Mike Stammer. These are his books. There's four of them altogether. One we're using today will be this one, British Armour Colours Distributive Patterns 1936 to 45. But he also does the Alamein 1942-43. Sicily, and of course his one on the contour scheme.
Now, where would one get these publications?
Glad you asked me that, Dave. You can buy these directly from Mike Stammer. I think they're about. I went online. If you just type in Mike Stammer, for example, contour scheme, it will give you his address. And I think they're about £13–14.
That's pretty good.
What's nice about them is they give you all, for example, they give you all the drawings. They also give you at the back, they give you colour chips. Colour chips, which I can't find, of course. There we go, example. This is one on the contour scheme. It gives you all the colour chips. You can match it. Now, this is one of the earlier books, so the paints he's given you are actually Humbrol paints, which I don't think too many of us use the Humbrol paints anymore. But, not to worry, in Missing Links a few years ago, he also published the colours using the Tamiya paints, which I normally use. So you can either, I think that was published in, what's it say, Mike Stammer Paint Mixes, pages 1 to 5, and it was in 2009. So you can go into the Missing Links and you can get the same colours mixes, but using the Tamiya paints as opposed to using the Humbrol paints. So
you'll also know that there are some cross-reference charts that you'll see on the internet too that will give you some cross-reference.
They'll map the Humbrol to
Tamiya
or whatever.
And you can use those as well, right?
The other book which I draw on a lot is this book, War Paint. Dick Taylor done a series of 4 books called War Paint. Excellent, super books. Number 1's on paint, number 2's on markings. It gives you everything you want to know. You know, things like fire extinguisher colours, that's in book 4. Markings, the British marking system, flags, everything. Now, unfortunately, these books are no longer in print. Well, at least I couldn't find them in print. They're available. I found a couple of them on the internet. I think they're like $30 Canadian, but then on top of that, of course, there was the shipping and stuff.
$30 Canadian. If you can find them.
Yeah, I think I found number 1 and number 4.
They got some nice color, original color ones.
They're excellent.
Original color pictures too.
So if you get a chance, you can pick up these ones. They're excellent series of books. The other ones which are excellent are these Armour Camouflage, Armour Colour and Gallery. These are published in Poland, and what I like about these is they're really brilliant. The colour plates. The colour plates are just bang on. Yeah, so if you can get, for example, this one here is by Robert Gregory. It's British Expeditionary Force, 3940 G3 G4 colours. Fantastic pictures, well written, and the quality of the pictures is absolutely stunning.
Yeah, they do a series on other topics too.
Oh, yeah, we'll be talking. Yeah, I'll be talking about this one's on the A9, A10, A13, which we're using for the contour scheme later on. Some of the Shermans and stuff in Italy. So, and also available. You can probably find these. They're quite easy to get hold of. Are some of the new Vanguards, or the Vanguards period. Now, these depend a lot on the quality of the actual artist. Some are better than others. For example, this one's on the Mark I. All these books are written by David Fletcher, who's probably the authority on British armour in the world. David knows more about British tanks than anybody else. He's written some great books and is a very nice chap. I know him quite well. So these are available. Now the only problem with these is they do, for example, the one in the Mark V, that doesn't really show you an awful lot paint-wise. Some of the other ones are better. For example, this one on the Quibbit, the quality of the prints is a little bit better. If I can find it.
There you go.
There we go. I can't find it. It's a better one picture than that. Anyway, that gives you a better cut of the service brown. Also, armoured cars. That's another subject altogether. There's the Rolls Royce armoured cars. Some are in just the dazzle, some are in grey. We'll talk about that later on. And back to the Mark I's. So those reference books, I can't stress enough. If you really want to get into get the books by Mike Stammer. I say they're not expensive. They're the colour chips alone are worth it, and it also gives you a lot of the information on actually how the camouflage goes on, which is very, very good and very, very useful.
No, it's not maybe what you would consider like a high quality publication, but it is very informative.
Oh yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, I think Mike produces them himself. I think it used to be Boomer Books used to sell them in the States, and I think they used to put a plastic cover on them, but I don't know if they're still available from Boomer Books. But I say, if you want to, just Google Mike Stammer on the internet and see the contour scheme, and it'll give you his address. I think the last price was about £14. So on top of that, I'd be shipping.
Some of the better reference, even the good ones, are in a format like this because they're cottage industry.
Yeah,
by the guys.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so don't. It's not always these glossy things.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I think if you've got these books, you've got a pretty good start. Well, basically we'll start.
Yeah, we brought this is at the end of the day. This is a modeling modeling themed channel. So we did bring some models. So you brought a bunch, and I have my Lanchester armored car here, which is in the grey.
Yeah, we'll do it chronologically. Prior to the First World War, the British was called service colour, and most trucks and wagons were painted a grey, like a neutral grey. Now this carried over into the beginning of the First World War. So Royal Naval Air Services, their armoured cars, this is a Lanchester, the Rolls Royce, it would have been painted this neutral grey.
It was a battleship grey, wasn't it?
Yeah, battleship grey, yeah.
Because I mean these were Navy vehicles.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically a lot of the development of the British tanks were actually done by the Navy, the Royal Naval Air Service, and Walter Wilson, he was actually a member of the Royal Navy. Probably one of the most the best designers, and we'll talk about him later on. So, beginning of the First World War, and the first Mark I tanks, when they were shipped to France, would have been shipped in that colour grey. Now, once they got to France, the first Mark I's, they were then painted. There was an officer in the Royal Engineers called Solomon J. Solomon, and he was an artist by profession. Now, he came up with a rather interesting camouflage scheme, which was called believe it or not, was called the Samson Scheme. Now, unfortunately, we haven't got a model of the Samson Scheme, but we do have photographs. Let's have a look, volume 1.
Now, while you're looking for that photograph, Sandy, so I believe if a viewer wanted to get a colored depiction of it, if you looked at the TACOM Mark I female artwork, that is an example.
That's an example of the Samson.
And that seems to be a hard kit to get, because I know both you and I are looking
for it. Yeah,
it's hard, and when you do find it, it's quite expensive.
There's this is in Dictator's book. You can see there's some quite good color prints here. There's Little Willie. You can see it's in the service grey.
Little Willie.
Little Willie was a precursor to Mother.
To Big Willie.
Yeah.
There's Little Willie there.
Willie.
Well, it's Little Willie and Big Willie, and even to this day, the Royal Tank Regiment sometimes refer to tanks as Willies.
What is that? Is that
Yes, this picture of a Solomon one right there. This is Solomon. It's a Mark I. That's a Mark I female. Sorry, in the Solomon camouflage. You can see how elaborate that is. So that they've only ever put on Mark I's, and I've seen photographs of a Mark II with a Mark I sponson, when the sponson is in the Solomon camouflage.
Now these were all hand applied. Right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Same.
Okay.
And we saw like because I know I did a model of the Saint Chamond, which is a French tank,
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
French tank, and that
Yeah.
has a
Yes.
dazzle scheme on it as
Yeah.
well. So that was something that I guess all the allies had kind of experimented with. to some
Exactly.
degree. Is that right?
Yes, they did. Now the thing is, it's interesting. The development of the tank was that basically the French and the Germans, when they designed their first tanks, all they did, they took the whole Caterpillar tractor and put a box on it, which was fine. But the whole problem in the trenches was to get across the trenches. So the British designed the tank from the beginning with the idea of crossing trenches. That's why it has that rhomboid shape. Now, what is amazing to me is that from the concept to the first running vehicle was only a matter of a few months, like less than a year from the actual concept of the tank to actually having the Mark 1s, maybe it's over a year. But that to me is amazing because they didn't have anything to base it on. They had and to me I think that's one of the most amazing engineering feats of the First World War. I mean, we've seen the same thing with airplanes. At the beginning of the First World War, they were flying basically box kites. By the end of the war, they had the O-400 bombers, which were strategic bombers. That 4-year period, the catalyst for invention and technical achievement was incredible.
Not only that, but even the Japanese bought a lot of World War I British tanks.
They bought some whippets.
That's right, yeah.
Whippets,
yeah.
they had some Mark 1s, I believe. They experimented with them.
I'm not sure.
Females, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, they used a lot of British armour, and I believe they kept them in the original British colours.
They also had some Renault FTs. Now, not the French. Their Chamond and Schneider weren't very good, but the FT was brilliant. This Renault FT. Which it was probably the only tank from the First World War which survived and actually fought in the Second World War. But anyway, what are we talking about? Talking about colour. So
that's the grey.
That's the grey. And then the Samson scheme was applied, but basically it was a very complicated scheme.
Now, Dave, what colour did you use on that? Like, what did you choose?
I painted this with the Tamiya lacquers, the new colours, and I used the light ghost grey and dark ghost grey. So I primed it in the dark grey. And then applied those two colors on, modulated it. So I kind of made my own battleship gray, I guess, or gray, just to my eye. And this is the Copper State Models kit. This is their first venture into vehicles, and there's a bunch more on the way. I have the Romfel. I'll be building that at some point. There's more armored cars coming from them, but this was a great little kit to build, fun little build. Just added a few things to it, so it's not completely out of the box, but had a lot of fun.
You made a nice job on that.
That's
beautiful.
That's great.
So do we want to go on to brown?
Yeah. So basically, the Samson scheme was applied, but as soon as the tanks went into action, they were covered in mud, so it's kind of a complete waste of time. So what the next, from the Mark II onwards, they went to what we called service brown, which was the colour which was. Put yours on. Put the whippet on, Dave. The whippet's in service brown. I've also got a Mark V here in service brown. So there's David's service brown. So.
Now, do we want to bring out your special weapon here?
Yes. No. What colour was service brown? Well, we have an example of service brown.
Whoa! Look at that.
This here is a British cavalry sword, model 1908, which was the last cavalry sword issued to British and Commonwealth troops. Now, what makes this one particularly special is it's in its original colour. Most of them after the war they were cleaned off and they were polished up for parades and things. But this one, this 1908, is still in its service brown. So that alone makes it kind of really interesting. So by looking at that, we can get a pretty good idea what colour the tanks would be. So if you look at that, that's Dave's got his on there. Now his is weathered, slightly different from. I've got another one here. I'll bring the Mark V.
Let's get that one off.
Yeah.
Now, Sandy, this sword looks like it's almost like a semi-gloss. Would the color applied being a semi-gloss?
No, it probably would have been. It probably got matte. You can see actually where it's been worn because that's the side which actually sits on the saddle.
Right. And I got to say, just by eyeballing, I have to say that your color is closer to the sword color than mine. Mine's a little dark.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the sword to
he's got the sword
to
He's got the sword to prove it.
He's got the sword to prove it.
I know, I'll argue anything else. So put that aside before we stab somebody with it.
Quite sharp.
Yes. It's actually.
I was slicing some cucumbers last night.
That's right.
That's actually very close to Japanese brownish colours.
So that's the Mark V. That's the TACOM kit, I believe.
And what brand of color did you use on that, Sam?
I actually used these two. I believe it or not. After saying all I ever use is Tamiya, I actually used the AK.
You broke down. Sam.
I broke down and used the AK. I used the mixed the SSC2 brown, which we'll be talking about later on, and the yellow, the number 6 AK yellow. I mixed those together and I thinned them down with the Mr. Leveling fluid, Mr. Color leveling fluid, and applied it, and it went on quite nicely.
Yeah.
You notice that on this tank it has got the white, red, white identification. Now that was applied to British tanks after 1917. The first great big tank battle was Battle of Cambrai, 20th of November 1917. Now the British managed to, they had 400 tanks, mainly Mark IVs, and they smashed through the German lines. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough reserves to consolidate it, and the Germans pretty well, after about a few weeks fighting, they pretty well recaptured. And in that, when they recaptured the ground, they also captured quite a large number of broken down or knocked out Mark IV tanks. Germans then took those back to Germany, repaired them, and then put them in service with their own tank battalions. As the Germans only produced 20 tanks and World War I, the A7V, the majority of the tanks they used were actually captured British Mark IVs. Now, because of that, the British then, to distinguish between the British and the German tanks, the British painted the white, red, white identification stripes on it. This actual tank is actually a Mark V, which looks very similar to the Mark IV, but basically it's a different engine, different gearbox. It was the first tank which could be driven by one man.
No, that's a female, correct?
That's a female.
So what are the difference between the male and the female?
A female tank has only machine guns, and a male tank has the 2 6-pounders.
Wow.
After they started to encounter German tanks, then sometimes you had a hermaphrodite, where you'd have a one sponson would have the 6-pounder, the other sponson would have the machine guns. The Mark V tank served mainly from 1918 onwards, and they were used in the Battle of Amiens, which was 1918, when they broke through the German lines. I think at the Battle of Amiens, I think Ludendorff said that was the blackest day in history of the German army. That
was before Stalingrad, I guess.
Well, yeah, yes, before Stalingrad.
Yeah,
but
they were used at Stalingrad.
No, actually, in fact, there's a couple of. If you look at some of the photographs of Stalingrad or somewhere in Russia, there was a couple of them as memorials, and there's pictures of the Germans when they invaded. I think it was one of the cities in Germany.
In Berlin, though, didn't they have some? Captured some in Berlin or something?
Well, no, there was some in Russia as well.
Oh.
The Mark V survived. It was used post-war, but then they were phased out very quickly. I mean, the heavy tanks were only designed basically to breach the front line, and then after that, the whippets, the armoured cars and things would exploit the breakthrough, but they were limited to 4 or 5 miles per hour. So.
Just a question on those ID markings. Those are only used on British vehicles, right?
Yeah.
They were not used on American or Allied vehicles.
I've never. It's quite.
I haven't.
I haven't seen them.
No, I mean it's possible they'd have put them on because then they'd want to distinguish between because the Americans actually did have some Mark V's, and actually the French were going to give Mark V. So it was the best heavy tank of the one. After that's the Mark V. There's also the Mark V Star where they extended it a little bit, and then the Mark V 2-star was extended even further.
And that's the main kit, correct?
That's the main kit. Yeah, that's a nice kit. It really is.
I think they're the only ones to do a Mark V.
Yeah, I think so.
Tacom just does
the Mark IV. Yeah. The Mark IV was just basically an improved version of the Mark I. It still had the Daimler engine.
Did you want to talk about the AK paints at all, or is that a whole other episode?
I just find the AK paints. If you smell them, these two are different. One of them's I don't know.
You get a little higher off one than you do.
Yeah, I think
that's what I've noticed.
If you smell them, it smells different.
I was kind of experimenting with them last night.
Yeah,
that's the one you get a little higher off. That one,
but you've all used the leveling thinner, no problem.
Yeah, I mixed them together. Leveling.
Now they have their own thinner.
They have their own thinner, but
right.
I don't have. Not to crap all over AK, but I just find the consistency of the paints is a little hit and miss. The color ranges they give you are great. Mm-hmm. I know that there's been some controversy over some of the colors. They seem to take into effect or scale effect into account rather. Yeah. But they have like I've used one other color. I'm working on a Sturm Tiger and I've been painting the inside of it because there's a bit of an interior, and I used the Elfline color. no problems with that. It's sprayed beautifully.
Yep.
But I've had mixed results with other paints, and maybe it's user error. Could be me, right? But
well, I will give them kudos because they're coming up with a constant number of new colors, which is awesome. I'm using their line, the AK paints on my Con 1007. Mixing my own, and talk about that in a different episode. But I've found that I've had success using leveling thinner.
Okay.
Leveling thinner, and I've recently used them with the, thanks to your borrow, the Tamiya lacquer thinner with the retarder.
Yeah.
That stuff also works very well with the AK.
Yeah, that's good stuff
no
as well.
No problem.
A little harder to find.
Yes, it is. It's the orange top.
The orange top one, yeah.
I just find this
that's
leveling fluid works with everything.
No, that's got some retarder in it.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah, I mean, they're both. It's 1A, 1B. I think the Tamiya stuff is just a little bit.
You can actually.
That's you can't go wrong with that.
You can actually buy the retarder separately
and
add it. I've done that as well. I've added retarder. I've actually put this in, put retarder in. And it seems to works fine.
It works great.
So we're retarding our paints. That's good.
Right.
All right. So let's. Do you want to go into the next batch of colors? Or are we done?
Yeah. No. Well. So basically, service brown went to the end of the First World War and then into the pre 1920. But then the British Army went to a bronze green colour. The bronze green was the next colour, which was.
So would any of these Mark 1s, or would they see any in bronze green?
No. Well, no, because they were phased out pretty quickly after the war. 'Cause, I mean, they were basically designed. The heavy ones were basically designed to break the trenches. To break the stalemate of the trenches, get across to. So, but after that, there was a few. They kept some Mark 5s in service. Mark 5 stars. They experimented with Christchurch with bridging stuff and things, but they never seen service again after the First World War.
Wasn't there like a big like a hexagonal anti-ditching contraption on some of these?
Yes, they did. They did. The on the Mark 4s they had the fascine, which was actually brushwood. And on the Mark 5s, they had a crib. They actually made a crib which would roll into the trenches. As I say, you can see it was fitting on the top of the cab there. That's the unhitching beam there. The Mark 5, as I say, is an interesting vehicle because it had the new engine. The earlier British tanks, the Mark 4s and pre, had the 100 horsepower Daimler engine, which for a 28-ton tank was pretty well underpowered. Harry Ricardo designed a new engine for it. And he got up to 115. Some of them had up to 225 horsepower. So it's almost doubled the horsepower of it.
Now these are mostly aircraft engines.
No. The Daimler engine. No, it wasn't. No.
But they have it in the A7V then. What am I thinking?
No, the A7V had also the Daimler engine. You're thinking that the Whippet had Taylor engines. The Whippet's interesting because the Whippet had two engines, one for each track. So to drive the Whippet, you had to accelerate each engine, which was very complicated.
Oh, by the way, side note: the Japanese did use Mark 4s.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, they did. And whether is that a question for you, Sandy? Most of them were in some sort of bronze green, and they had Japanese kanji on them. So would that have been the British bronze green? I presume. Why would they?
Well, if they were shipped,
yeah, they used them in the 20s.
Yeah, the Japanese borrow heavily from the English.
They did. They used whippets too.
Whippets are armored cars.
They costly armored cars. They used the Vickers sold a lot of tanks to the.
They didn't have armored decks though for the aircraft carriers.
Yeah, that's right.
That's one thing they didn't do.
Now you know why it's not scripted.
Yeah. Okay.
We're
move.
Oh, by the way, if you are interested in building a Japanese whippet, there's some good sources in Japan, and maybe we'll talk about it when I do some Japanese armor colors.
Yes.
The use of Japanese whippets, they have some nice references.
Yeah, we'll just maybe pause here for a second. I know there's this mask.
Oh yeah, I brought that.
So this is your S&M mask.
It's a Halloween.
Yes, right. Yes.
It's not Halloween. Right?
No, that's. If anybody is interested in doing the uniforms, that is the tank crews they wore these masks from about 1917 onwards. The chain link mask, and this was to prevent because that was only like half an inch thick. The armor plate was only 12-14 millimeters thick. When a bullet hit the outside, it would cause bits to fly off inside, spall, or splinters, or if through the gaps, the bullets the lead would become liquid and squirt. So the tank crews started to wear these. Now, it's amazing. Actually, you can actually see quite a bit through them. Yeah,
now that is this original? This is original.
That's original.
Well, it doesn't work with glasses.
Well, that's true.
But mind you, did British takers wear eyeglasses?
I presume some. They have to take this off first of all. Now these are these.
If you sell them, then I'll buy it off you for $5.
I think a lot bit more than that, Harry. I bought this maybe 10, 15 years ago, and I've noticed there's quite a few of them like knockoffs on eBay. But
yeah, that you can tell that that looks.
But this is an original one.
That's a nice. That's a nice.
That's of all the things I own. That's one of my.
Now you've got a couple of World War I helmets too, don't you?
I do have all the French, the British.
We do wear them when we paint our models, just like
yeah, I have the pickle hat for that. Anyway, we digress here. It's just something I had mentioned. But so I must move this. I'll move this over here. So after the war, the British decided they were going to go to the bronze green. Now there was more than one bronze green. There was light bronze green, dark bronze green, G4. Or just referring back to this excellent book.
So what shade of NATO green is this?
Yeah.
Sandy loves his NATO.
My favourite colour is NATO green.
NATO green.
There was light bronze green, number 22, mid bronze green, 23, and deep bronze green, number 24, which also go by G3, G4, and G5. This is actually a scratch-built Garden Lloyd carrier I built back in the many years ago.
That's great, Sam.
Yeah, and because there's no kit of that available.
And there still isn't a kit.
No, there's some of the Polish tankettes, which are, and the Russian T-27, the little tankette thing, and then the Italian L.
That's beautiful, Sandy.
Now you've got a G3, G4, G5. What's the meaning with all this?
Well, it's just the numbers they assign to it.
Like they could have used any of those
G
shades?
For green?
Yeah.
I presume it's green. Yeah, G3. So
this could have been in either of the three.
Well, yeah, it'd probably been in a deep bronze green. Later on, we will go to the camouflage where you actually have G3 and G4, and I'll move that one over there.
Mixing their Gs.
The Gs. Now, this is an interesting kit.
So, based on feedback from viewers, we did invest in a rotating turntable here so that we can see the models properly.
Yes, it was very expensive too.
Yes.
Thanks
to my wallet. Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is an interesting kit. This is actually a Vickers commercial tank of the 1930s. It's made by a company called IMA in Hong Kong, and it's a resin kit. And this is referred to as a Dutchman, because the British government sold a bunch of these to the Dutch.
Is that like a Dutch oven?
Dutch oven, yeah.
Light armor? Get it?
Maybe I've lost my train of thought, actually. Okay, right. Okay. So basically, this was these were used for training. Now, this was called Dutch because after the Dutch capitulated, there was a whole bunch of these left over. So the British government took them into service and used them for training. But also, some were actually sent to Greece. Now, you asked me the other day, were any of these sent to the Far East, the Dutch? I
did ask you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's quite possible if the Dutch did send them to the Far East, but or not. But this vehicle is finished in the G3, G4, which was the standard.
And what company paint did you use on that?
I used Tamiya. I mixed mine based on the Tamiya, Mike Stammer's book on the Tamiya.
So you just mix your own until you get the right color.
I tend to do that.
Yeah.
Tend to do G3, G4.
I mean, Tamiya doesn't have a broad range, but you can always use Tamiya's mixing.
You could
mixing different colors.
The same can be said for any paint range. If you're comfortable with that, you can mix any color.
Oh yeah,
right? And you feel like there's. Sandy talked about all the paint mixes that Mike Starmer has on.
Here we are. I'm just going to look for example. Look here. It's for example. It gives you all the deep bronze green. What to use here. What we got here? Dark green, jungle green.
So if you went into the forums on missing links, then just typed in a search for Mike Starmer.
I can see he's got all the XF color numbers.
Yeah, Tamiya Brown, which is SSC number, and then the British went to an SSC number. I think it might stand for standard camouflage colours. And
SCC?
Yeah.
I always thought it was seriously confusing colours.
It is seriously
confusing colours.
Seriously confusing.
I find them very confusing.
There's khaki green, for example, here, G3, G4. And it gives you the breakdown, except 3 parts XF62, 2 parts XF59, khaki green.
Right.
So for the G3.
Yeah.
Now realize that if you want to scale effect, you can add white, you can vary it a bit, but that's just
or buff or flesh.
Yeah,
the those other colors.
These are it's a separate discussion, maybe perhaps, but interpretations of colors wide open, right?
Oh,
you don't have to get right into.
We had this discussion last week.
Right. So as long as you're in the ballpark, right?
Yeah.
I think you're fine.
So there's, for example, there's the G3, G4 on the Matilda, right? And that's pretty darn close.
I mean, you can tell the difference looking close up, but from far away.
From far away, yes, it
Yeah.
looks dark.
Now this is an interesting. This is the model I built.
Oh, that's the. Oh, this I like this one. This is one of my favorites that you're saying.
This is a. That's a.
See, I don't know you guys, but I find this turntable intensely relaxing. I
Yeah.
can just sit here and sip my coffee all morning.
Makes
The
me
Yeah,
dizzy,
models
actually.
rotate.
It's like watching fish or something. It's like watching a
Actually
fish
makes me
tank.
nauseous,
We
Dave.
should have a fish tank here. That'd be even
It's
better.
very relaxing. I'm relaxed.
There's
I'm
no
relaxed.
music though.
I just need to. I just the slight hum of the motor turning this and the model and a nice cup of coffee.
Is that what you do, like on your anniversary? You
I just sit and look at my model. I just put them on the turntable.
Get it.
There we go. There's
Jerry
pictures
does
of,
that too.
there's a picture of. There's the Whippet.
What-
Sorry,
what,
the Matilda one.
What kit is that, Sadie?
That's an accurate armor kit.
Uh,
The accurate armor kit. I think that's the only kit available.
Yeah,
I think,
they don't,
I think
uh,
Commander's done one as well at one
yeah,
time.
but they don't do one in injection 35.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And I use the.
It's a nice model.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a wonderful looking tank.
Well, it was built.
Yeah.
It was built for a. It was they gave the British Army gave the Vickers a sum of money. I think £600 or £6,000, and they had to design a tank around that. And Sir John Carden designed that tank.
That's beautiful.
Looking
What's the
tank.
yellow on the front? Is that? for
Ah,
gas?
yeah. Good, glad you asked. That's the gas panel.
It is.
Yeah, you see that a lot on British vehicles. That green, yellowy green colour, and that was when the presence of gas, it would change colour. So they know.
So it was an indicator.
Yeah, indicator of the.
I thought that was a target for Pack 37s or something.
Yeah. I mean, the Matilda that they were only used in France, but they were never used anywhere else.
Oh, they were using the Battle of France?
Yeah, using the Battle of France. Yeah, 4th RTR had them.
So it would be obviously the Dunkirk.
Yeah. So that
So
one's
it would go faster in reverse than forward.
no,
Is that-
but Demon would indicate that it's 4th RTR.
Very neat.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And has the Chinese eyes on it. No,
that's right, yeah.
I have eyes, no can see.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. It was in the First World War. A tank was donated to by a Chinese gentleman to the
I
tank
didn't
corps,
know that.
and when he bought it, he said, "Well, how can the tank see if it's got no eyes?" So they painted eyes on it, and that's how it became. And to this day, the 4th RTR still has on the side of their tanks has pictures the eyes painted on it.
Oh, very cool.
So basically, in between the
kit.
wars, we used the different colours of green, G3, G4, and then we're just going to touch basically. When we're not going to go any further than what happened in 1942 was there was the green paint. The green paint requires the chromium oxide. Now, chromium oxide became scarce, so they changed the colour and it was in 1940. The colour changed from the greens to a brown SSC number 2 brown. Now that was used all the way up to I think May 1944 when the British then we went to the SSC 15, which is a green colour, very similar to a US olive drab.
So that's this color. The SCC2 is this color.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
But do you find that a little
Do you
light?
like that?
I think it's a little bit light. I think
A
it
little
should be a little bit darker.
But that could be the scale effect. Of the
Yeah,
final.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah. So, so basically, you've got your you've got this VH8, you've got the early part of the war. You can go with the grey. Then that short period of time, you can go with the Samson colour only on Mark 1s. Then the rest of the war, you go with the service brown, which you see in the sword. During the interwar period, we go to the different colours of green, the bronze greens, the different colours of green, G3, G4, and that we take right up to the beginning, the Battle of France, and to early 1942 when we went to the SSC2 brown. Now, I'm going to stop there because we've got I know people are interested in the contour scheme, the modified contour scheme, the SSC 15, but we'll do that as a second episode. If you like this one, if nobody watches it, you won't bother to do it. But if you, no, I'm not going to at 6 o'clock in the morning come and do this.
That's right. Nobody's watching.
Yeah.
Nobody
So,
cares.
but if you're interested, we'll just talk generally. I mean, there's also you can talk about the armoured cars. I mean, the British used armoured cars an awful lot.
There's a few more kits over there we haven't looked at.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Sorry
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just move over here. There's the medium Mark II. That's a medium Mark 1, which is also finished in a G3, G4 scheme.
Now that's the Hobby Boss kit.
Yes,
is that
yeah.
correct?
Hobby Boss brought out the whole bunch of them. The mediums. That's the Mark. The medium tank wasn't. I don't think it ever fired a shot in anger. There were some of them. They were sent out actually to the Middle East with the mobile force. and Hobart, and they used to one of them they used to actually apply asbestos panels on the side. Not very health and safety. It's to keep the heat out.
Oh,
yeah. So you'll see them. You'll see them also painted sand color with red oxide overpainted.
That's a big vehicle.
It was. Yeah, it is.
That's a large vehicle.
What was famous about the mediums were they were used in the manoeuvres in Salisbury Plain, where the tactics were actually, the blitzkrieg tactics were actually were born. It was mainly for training, but it was. And I say I don't think they were ever at. They were. I think they were Tobruk. There were some. I think, but I think they were dug in because they were obsolete by then.
Yeah.
I think it had like 12 millimeters of armor. But it certainly its contribution to armored warfare was its training in the 1930s, and that's another whole story.
And that's painted in the G2, G3.
Yeah, G3, G4.
G3, G4.
And the markings A with triangle. That started with the A squadron, B squadron, circles, squares. But that's another subject as well.
Lovely, very nice model. I love the weathering, the build of the spider on it. Very nice.
I scratched but one of those years ago. Now Harvey's also brought a model.
Now this one is
a little bit later.
It's a little bit later, but still fits within the time period.
A little LRDG.
Yeah, a little RDGG to shout out to the Braille scalers.
Yeah.
Now, this we all talk about color standards. Now, when I researched this vehicle, the patrol commanders were given complete discretion to paint their vehicles any which way they saw fit. And some of them were very garish. This one, it's hard to tell, but it was this pink color.
Yep, there's it right there. There's desert pink.
There you go.
We'll talk later on about the Alamein, and that's the same excellent Mike Stone Stammer book, and it shows the colours to be used in 42, 43.
Yep. And then there, I believe they called it I might be wrong, SEC 11B, but regardless, some of them, there's always controversy as to how pink they were.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that they used whatever paints that they could get.
Yeah,
at the time. So that's an example where I used the underlying desert pink, and then just NATO green, Sandy.
NATO green, my favorite color.
And you'll see a lot of LRDG vehicles that were very garish.
Yeah.
And I just thought,
what kit is this again?
That's a Matchbox kit.
That's Matchbox.
Oh, it's a beautiful little kit.
Wow.
To me, they do one in 1/35th scale.
They do. That's the only one, don't they?
Yeah.
That's the only one I'm
still. Still in 35.
I think they reissued it with they had a breeder gun. So I think I built one. Quite often they put a 20mm breeder gun in the back to give it more oomph. A lot of them are used by the New Zealanders.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I just noticed you put the wheel on the wrong side, the steering wheel on the wrong side there.
Must be serving in Asia or something because we drive on the other side. Is that your point?
I'm just saying.
As I say,
so there's an example where the crew commanders did whatever they wanted, and there were sometimes no standards, but that's realistic. And I lighten those colors. By the way, if you are building Braille scale, I usually do lighten them up with bright or buff or white for sure. So just be aware of that, guys, when you're looking at these.
So the smaller you go in scale, the lighter you got to make the color. Otherwise, you lose everything because it's such a small.
Totally.
We're talking about that. There's Mike's excellent book on the contour scheme. You can see it there, and it shows you the actual. There's the colors, suggested colors for the contour scheme.
No, I don't see bright blue in there, but I guess that's a topic for now.
Well, that's another
topic.
Yeah. But the contour scheme was also only used for a very short period of time. But we can talk about that next time. We'll talk about the contour. We'll talk about Sicily. The Scots Greys, for example, painted their tanks to look like their horses. They had dapples on their Sherman tanks.
Is that right?
Yeah, kind of interesting. So people think that British tanks are kind of boring because they're just green, but actually they're quite colourful. And as I say, we could talk for hours about it. But basically, if you have these books, try and get. Mike's books are available. I thoroughly recommend you pick these up.
Now, on any website, Google them. You'll find them?
Just Google Mike Stammer, put down contour scheme, it'll come up. I think his address is here somewhere, but I might have changed because I bought these books many times. This book was published in 2003, but he has updated them. And as I say, I can't recommend them high enough. Dictator's books, excellent if you can find them.
They're from Mushroom Publications.
Yeah. That's it. I found a couple on the internet.
Just a final question, Sandy.
Yeah.
So Commonwealth, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, they would have also used these same standards.
They would have done.
No,
for example, the softskins made out at Oshawa would have been finished in the SSC2 brand.
Now we're from Canada, so that's Oshawa,
Ontario. So basically, I think I've got. If anybody's got any questions, just write them down.
We always read the comments.
We go through all the comments, and if there's any, we enjoy getting feedback. We got a lot of great feedback and a lot of comments and discussions going on the Panzer Grey episode. So hopefully we'll.
I think that's almost 10,000 hits. I think.
That's done very well. That's since we kind of restarted this year. It's that's probably our most popular episode. So we'll definitely do more of these. And you're going to do one on Japanese colors.
One on Japanese armor.
And we'll do one on German late war or 43 onwards colors. We'll do one on olive drab. We'll do one on 40.
Yeah, olive drab's going to be quite an interesting one because that's always.
I don't think we need to do any. We just do one on NATO green.
Well, eventually,
you and I will have a coffee. We'll let Sandy sit here for
because we use NATO green.
10,
I use NATO green on my
Sandy
Continental 7. I love NATO green.
He loves
10,000 uses of NATO green.
Gallons of it.
Yeah, I mean, I know. So, but I think it's pretty well covered. I say we could talk for hours, but get the books. Once you've got the books, you can look through them.
And these are, I mean, I know you just to echo Sandy's comments, these are great
they are.
but there's only so many that are made. So when they come out,
I think it's 1,000. I think it's 1,000.
Grab them, you can get them
I've
on.
seen the price go up on some of the.
Wow.
Yes, they're possible to get.
I think me and Dave we ordered the new one by Peter Brown, who's also a good friend of mine, on the Firefly.
Yeah, it's like $40 Canadian on Book Depository right
now. I don't know if this one's available. I know the A13, the one I liked was A13, A9, A10. I think the A13, people are asking ridiculous money for it, but
so they usually come up for about $60 and change Canadian, or maybe a little bit cheaper US.
Quality photos though.
But yeah, great publications and the artwork.
Artwork,
color plates.
They're actually published in Poland, and they're absolutely first stunning. The art, they're worth it just for the art, but the rest of it is very, very good. I really recommend those. Hofstra books, you can pick those up, but they depend. A lot depends on the artist.
Yeah, they're hit and miss. Yeah, you're right. So that I think that concludes our episode for today. So, Sandy, thank you very much. With all the coronavirus going around, we're not going to shake hands.
That's why I'm wearing my mask.
All right.
Wearing my mask
on the airplane on your cruise.
Yes, on the cruise I'll be wearing this on the cruise.
They'll stay away from you for sure.
Exactly.
So thanks for coming over and doing this with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll have you back for more color
for part 2.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.